So, good evening, Midi Mad scientists and everybody else out there. Tonight's topic is snapshots. Good analogy in the menu is the manual. Read the manual. Is to think of them as 8 octopuses running around with 8 tentacles that can manage 64 different jobs for every preset. That's a hell of a lot of stuff. And for the most part, I don't think many of us need that much stuff, but it's a good design. And this is all about design. So, yesterday I did this 9 snapshot test with Midi on the HXSTOMP. Why 9? Because my LT does 8 and I wanted to beat that. So, but I've been thinking about this today, and there's a lot of stuff that you can do here. When would you do it and when wouldn't you? I would say this, that having all your snapshots together and following the strict Helix protocol of doing it is a better way of doing it. What's happening with a snapshot basically is you have a rig of stuff, and all of those boxes have little doodads which you can twist and change and and set up. And the snapshot remembers where all of those are internal to the HXSTOMP, and when you copy a preset, it has all of that saved in there in a field somewhere, and it works. Problem is, sometimes you want a little bit more. Chad Husky and the boys and several others have said, if only I could have 10 or 12 snapshots instead of 8, that's a lot. But if you're building these super rigs to deal with a genre of music like the 80s or 90s or whatever, then this is maybe for you. If you really want to keep the presets down and have uber control over stuff. What I kind of discovered yesterday was that you kind of have amazing control if you're using something like a MorningStar, which sends out multiple MIDI messages, so you can make it more complicated, but more to the point, it has these behaviors. So I'll hold this in. It says swaps Plexi and Bolt King. You can see there, as I'm switching this, it's switching between 2 different IRs. It's doing that with one CC message, one control change message. And I can program this to change anything on that channel. I think it was, 124 or something like that. One of the free ones. Pick a free channel, and you can attach it to any DSP block you want and have it control any one thing. So if you wanted to, put your drive through different ranges, you could do that. You can do for, say, a toggle message, which goes between 1 and 2, or you could do a double tap on that, or you could do a long hold on that, or you could do, there's all these different behaviors, I call them, where it's measuring time and the amount of inputs on here. So if it's held in for a long time and then let go, on the let go, it will do stuff. So you can really go to town on this. But whereas a snapshot stores everything here on a little piece of paper, a mixed snapshot like this stores half the information in here. That can be cool if you're one of the people that really want to do something like this. You're not going to do many of them. You don't need to move around 64 things during a preset, but if you did, maybe you just want 1 or 2 extra things. So grab a CC channel, assign it to a block, to whichever thing you want on that block. It's really easy to do. And not just for turning stuff on and off. I would say get all of your more complex behaviors done in the 3 snapshots that you're given. And then you can build these extra ones here, and you can name it whatever you want. I've just set them up generically. And when I hold in, it starts flashing. Oh, Plexi or Volt, or with this one, it switches from a Martin to a Guild IR. This is fascinating stuff. If you could do 2 or 3, that's like 27 snapshots, if you will, at your foot. Or if you turn to an iPad, the sky's the limit. You can really have all the control you want over something that small. If you offload DSP to other pedals like the Iridium, which I have coming tomorrow, this is going to be really interesting because, again, it's design. Instead of having menu clusters and all this, it's got 6 EXP, 6 knobs, which are acting like an EXP. And it can save up to 300 of its presets. So you could dial in your amps for jazz, you could dial in your amps for blues, you could dial in your amps for funk, you could dial in your amps for higher stuff. Limited with 3 amps, but what I'm hoping to do is stick all the classics on there and use this for the exotic amps, which are aplenty. Or more to the point, just use this to load IRs, extra IRs, because as you can see with this doodad, with just 2 pedals, I'm switching between 4 different IRs, and you could really go the length with it. So whilst it already works for sure here, this thing sounds amazing. Hope this covers it. If you wanted to, you could also come in here, take the Studio 2 Pre, and you could adjust the gain. So whilst you're switching IRs, on the same command here, you could also have that switch the gain, drive things up, engage something else. No real limit, so very exciting stuff. These 8 snaps here. I've divided the spectrum up between left and right in 6 different points. And you think, well, that's kind of crazy. Why would you do that? Well, if you're going through using a looper, you can set stuff center with wide ping pongs, but then you can limit the flow of effects, and basically whilst you're doing multiple loops, you could place 1 loop in one corner, 1 loop in another corner, 1 halfway across the stage. You can add in other stuff, and that's all at your feet. Don't know how stereo this will come through, but I think this is very cool and exciting stuff. I will try and do a better video, but I'm in the midst of reorganizing the entire studio right now and have papers everywhere, so very distracting. But anyway, there you go. Uber cool stuff, these IRs. I think for the Iridium, this is really going to be where it goes, not just cabinet IRs, but you can IR anything. So amps, guitars, resonance of a room, sound of a church. The more space, the longer the samples are held for. 24-bit, etc. I think that's amazing. It's It's a great time to be a guitarist. Anyway, that's me for tonight. Stand by as more stuff's coming, and I will get on to finishing up these remotes and trying to share them with people who are into OnSong. But you need to have OnSong, and you probably will have a completely different MIDI setup than I do, so you'd have to edit things. But half the fun is understanding this stuff and then being able to forget about it. Wax on, wax off. Right?